Usually I start out my reading wrap-up videos saying how much I read. This month, I don't know. I couldn't keep track of it because when you read the same digital manga over and over and over for a week, how do you mark that? How do you mark that? Hello friends, happy Friday, so excited that you're here. I'm talking about all of the manga that I read during the month of May, and like I said, I don't know how to say the exact amount of manga volumes that I read. Now, according to my reading journal, because I did it this morning before filming, so I'm like, okay, so that way I know I make sure I have everything down, because I feel like the past few reading wrap-up videos, I keep missing like one volume here, one volume there. I was like, not today. Not today, Laura, we are gonna get this right. So yeah, I wrote down that I read 25 volumes. Supposedly, but again, within a week's time, I read the same manga over and over and over again on KMANGA. No exaggeration with that. I've never ever done anything quite that extreme with my reading. The only other manga I know very vividly that I did reread like 2 or 3 times is Loving Yamada when it was on the Mangamo app. It still is, but it was digital only. We didn't have the physical license announcement. When it was on there, yeah, after I read it, I reread it again, and then I reread it one more time. I'm like, okay, that was just 3. I was able to keep track. This time around, I was not able to do it. So we'll go ahead, jump right in with the digital manga that I read. The Remarried Empress. I bought the last 2 chapters of season 3. It's over. For just season 3, okay? It's not over, but I was not ready. I was not ready. It was very good. I would give it 4 out of 5 stars just because I felt like Webtoons was mispromoting in the sense, they're like, what is Rashida up to? What is she gonna do next? Dude, the last chapter of season 3 didn't even have her in it, okay? So I was like, I felt a little bit let down because I genuinely, the things that are happening to Rashida, I really wanted to know what was going to be coming next. Did it end well? Oh yeah. Oh yeah. And Duke Urgi, what in the world is that man doing? The person he is with, I'm like, we need to get that man out. I like him as a character. He is very villainous in the sense of, you know, he's doing shady things. He has no problem doing shady things. He's doing bad things behind the scene. And it's like, okay, well, at least you're the only one here for the most part that's being pretty open and honest that you are shady. It ain't like the Emperor where he's trying to blame everybody else. No, Urgi, he knows he's manipulating certain people. So I felt some mixed feelings there, but the ending was really good. Things came out in the open with Navier and Henry, which was very, very good. I love the honesty that is there. It is amazing. It was very good. I feel bad before I go into the one that I absolutely loved. I did read I See Your Face Turned Away. I was able to get a digital copy on NetGalley. I did not love this, and I feel really bad. I feel like that's very not going with the popular opinion of this manga. It just won the Kodansha manga. I forget what year it is, but it won for the shoujo category. I wanted to try it because of that. I have been curious about this manga for a very long time because there are a few people on Twitter who very much hyped it up. I'm blanking on the lady's name, but she is literally the biggest fan I know of this series. I don't know anybody else that's bigger fan than her. And so I was very curious of it because of her. I wouldn't say I disliked it. I feel like it was okay. It was not a manga that was for me. Ultimately, I feel hands down easily like this is not my kind of story. I have said it before. I am not a huge fan of angst. I am not a big fan of love triangles, and we have a love square, or looks like it's going to be a love square. So I just felt these things were not for me. Maybe if I could get more review copies, I would have kept reading, but I know for certain I'm not going to buy these volumes moving forward to see how it's going to unfold, especially since I have seen spoilers for the series just due to the people I have followed. And I'm like, I'm not willing to invest in this emotional journey, but I do feel if you like angst and you like love squares, because the characters are very compelling. I really like the main character a lot. I think she's very interesting, but again, it ultimately, I know it came down to the journey. I was not willing to invest. I'm sorry I don't have like a lot more like grand things to say about this, but I do think it's really cool that it did win in the Kodansha Manga Award for the shoujo category. I do feel like it's rightfully deserved. It was just not a manga that was personally for me. Before we get into the one digital manga, because I have to gush about that one, there were 2 manga that I did read, but I did sell to a friend, and one of them is A Brief Moment of Ichiyaka, and I feel like I need to apologize to my friend on Twitter because I was going to get volume 2 because of her, but I really thought hard about this one. It was very good, very compelling. I mean, I read this in like 30 minutes, which is very rare for me, but realizing that this was not going to have like a super happy ending, I was like, Laura, you might want to quit while you're ahead. Not because I disliked it, but because I was so emotionally invested in this first volume, and it's not a happy series. There's happy moments in this first volume, and I was just like, I feel like this is not one that would stay in my collection because I want to keep things that I'm going to reread. It was hard sending this to a friend because I'm like, I liked it and I would continue it. I just don't want it to be sad when I continue it though. So I hope that she really enjoys it. It is a very good volume, but you need to have tissues ready because yeah, there is some emotions with this one. And then I decided to let go of Like a Butterfly. I read volume 6 this month. I gave it 4 stars, but okay, it's always been slow going, but it's a very wholesome series and I love it because it is just so wholesome. It's just so sweet. Our couple has finally gotten together. They're learning what it means to date, but then like things happen at the end and I was like, this has me very anxious for this couple because of how our main girl is acting and how the guy was acting. And I'm like, I just don't know. I was like, they're finally together. And I was like, I feel like there's a chance, I'm hoping not, but that there's a chance they could break up. And I'm like, I can't do anymore. We're halfway through the series. I just felt, I think his name's Kawasumi. I just felt like there were times I kept getting irritated and frustrated with him. Because our main girl, Flower, I know that's not her actual name, but I feel like she's trying. She's giving her all. We are seeing actual development and character growth in her character. But with Kawasumi, I felt like, yes, he's taking very, very slow baby steps, but I would still get frustrated with him. And I just felt like I was not willing to invest physically in moving forward. I do want to read volume 7, but I feel like it's not high on my TBR, which makes me sad because I love Sumori Ishida. I have loved many of the volumes in this series. Specifically, volume 2 was amazing. I mean, I still very vividly remember that volume, but I was just like, there's other things on my like TBR, things I want to buy that I'm more excited about, and ultimately that's what it just came down to. It's not a bad series. If you need something extremely wholesome, this series is it. It's very slow going, but I don't think it's like necessarily like a bad thing, but you have to be willing to be prepared for that because like I said, we're only at volume 6 and things are looking like things could happen and go down a little bit, and we're not to the end yet. I wasn't ready and willing to invest in that, very unfortunately. But let's go on to the series that I have been so desperately wanting to talk about, and this is on KMANGA, and that is Glasses with a Chance of Delinquent. I have never ever bought anything on that app, anything on that website. I was like, no, we will never do this. This series said, we're going to change your mind. I have actually already bought volumes 3 through 6. I don't have volumes 1 and 2. This series has my heart, and I know I've said it like more than once, but I literally reread this series over and over and over again on KMANGA. Sometimes I would start at the very beginning, sometimes I would start at the middle, sometimes I would just skip around and read my favorite parts. I mean, there's literally no bad part in this manga. I love everything. I love what it even looks like when things go down with this guy right here. I'm like, it's good. It's gravy. I'm here for it. It was easily a 5-star. I mean, like 10 stars. Like, this is a manga that I am obsessed with. Like, not just a temporary 2-week kind of thing. No, I have reread it again since. I may have not been rereading it every single day for a straight week, but yes, this is my chill out manga. And I talked about that last week in my top 5 Wednesday video. I can't get enough of this. I need everybody to read it. I've like changed my screensaver for my background to them. I have changed and updated all of my Instagram highlight covers on Instagram with them. Anything and everything. It is their face because I love it. I love it. I can't, I mean, I know I'm gushing saying I love it, but it's like, how do I put it into words? Because it's just, I feel like I've read it so much now that I'm like, there's not one set thing that I'm like, okay, this is peak because of X reason. It's like, this is peak because of X, Y, Z. Let's start at A and go through the whole alphabet kind of reason. Like, there's so many things. And every time I read it, I appreciate it more. I love this couple and how, yeah, our main girl, she's afraid of delinquents and ends up getting with a guy who's an ex-delinquent and still has those delinquent tendencies at times, but he respects her and he cares for her and he really lets her take the initiative at times to like hold his hand, and to kiss him and to go on dates. They really are so open and honest with their feelings. And yeah, there was one moment, especially like I know it's a volume 6 and will be like associated with volume 7 whenever it comes out physically, which I will be buying. I'm like, please have some goodies, some merch for me, me because I'm like, I'm willing to pay that shipping ASAP from Japan to get it because I got all of these volumes at Sugaruya. So thankfully I didn't pay more than like $4 or $5 for each volume, which is really great. But even though there was like some lack of communication in the later part of the series, it was still wonderfully sad. And they said their feelings. And I'm just like, I love you guys so much. They have my heart. I'm like, this is big. This was easily my favorite read of last month. Easily one of my favorite reads of this year. You will hear it again saying this is in my top 3 favorite manga of 2024 because I love them. I love the art. I love the development. I love this character right here. I'm blanking on her name, but she's nicknamed the girl from the library. I love that whole arc. I just could not get enough of it. The art is fantastic. Momo's inner thoughts are very, very funny. And he's so, this is a really good scene. Look, I have reread this so much that I'm like, yeah, this is in Japanese, but my brain's like, okay, we remember what was said with the English and it's all good. It's all gravy. We know. And I'm like, we know, Laura. Sorry, telling myself that because I'm just so excited. I love this illustration right here. But if you were looking for a very sweet and very fun good girl meets ex-delinquent kind of romance story with lots of humor, lots of heart, very sweet moments. It's like a slow burn, but it's sort of not. Like it feels like a natural progression. This manga is your manga. Go check it out on KMANGA. I will leave the link below because I'm like, I need everybody to read it. Very good. I love the side characters. This is Igarashi. He is so funny. I have loved him so much, and I need volumes 1 and 2 because they are some of my favorite when they go on different dates, specifically that happens early on. Just, it's all good. It is all good. It is amazing, and I cannot recommend it enough. I think at this point what I'm going to do is I have so many ideas for like things I'm going to do later on after the shoujo event and everything. When it wraps up, I'm like, I want to do like a delinquent romance feature kind of month, and I think I'm pretty determined to do this because I also want to feature Love That's an Understatement, another great delinquent romance. I love delinquent romances, so if you have any recommendations for delinquent manga, like especially delinquent romance, I want the romance, don't hesitate to let me know, please. Don't hesitate to let me know. But yes, Glasses with a Chance of Delinquent, it's amazing. I could just gush all day, and if you're a fan of the series, please come DM me, come find me, and let us chat about it because it's very, very good. Now we will go into the physical manga and start off with the banger, and that is volume 4 of My Girlfriend's Child, but it broke my heart. That ending, I need answers. We need volume 5 ASAP because the things that went down at the end just is the mom's real feelings. Are they coming out? Are they coming out in how she actually feels? Has she been masking her feelings all this time? And I'm just like, I need answers. I need to know. I wasn't a fan of the dad. I did not like how he forced his thoughts, his decisions onto our main girl. But I will say it's been really interesting. I mean, the whole series has been interesting, but I had a really great conversation actually with my husband, and I was like, I know this question is out of nowhere, okay? And I was like, this is a loaded question. I'm like, but I just read this manga, and I was like, what would you do if our daughter got pregnant at a very young age and wasn't married and all these things? And we had the most great conversations, and while I felt very, very confident my husband would not be like our girl's dad in this series, I was just very thankful to hear that indeed he would not be like the dad in this series, because I'm like, dude, you need to listen to your daughter. Listen to her. But our main guy here, he continues to be just OP in how supportive he is of her and how he is just so patient. He got another job. I mean, he's amazing in every single way. I need some good things to be in store for our couple. I need some good things to be on the horizon for them because it has just been very, very good, but very heartbreaking at the same time. I am continuing this crazy series. It's been so fun, and that's I'm Giving the Disgraced Noble Lady I Rescued a Crash Course in Naughtiness. This is, if you've read volume 4, then you know going into volume 5, Alan and Charlotte were going to go on a date, and Alan was going to confess his feelings. So Charlotte, 100% here for it, been waiting for this moment. She gets kidnapped, and I was like, oh my gosh, I'm like, dude, the date, he's supposed to say things did come out very good though, but the villain of this volume, I was like, what? I felt at first it was a little bit outlandish, I'm not gonna lie, and it took me a little bit of time to get into the ultimate battle because the battle was awesome. It was very good. I love the action scenes in this manga. They're done so very well. But I'm like, why is this the villain? Like, I got why they're the villain, but the villain is not your conventional or even typical villain, okay? That's all I'll say. So it took me a little bit to get over that hurdle, but once I did, oh my goodness, it was so good. It was so good. This volume had everything everything I was hoping for, and I cannot wait to see what happens next. Already pre-ordered volume 6 because I'm like, yes, let good things be on the horizon for them as well. Before I read Glasses with a Chance of Delinquent, this was my favorite manga of the month. I was like, this is it. There's not going to be anything that can top this, and that is True Love Fades Away When the Contract Ends, Volume 1. This is a like historical-like fiction kind of story, and I loved it. I apparently don't read much historical fiction when it comes to manga, not on purpose. I just don't. I don't think that's something I usually naturally gravitate to, but this was just everything. This was really good. I love how our main girl, Fiona, her father basically wants her to get married, and she's like, no, I want to go travel the world. I want to be a painter. And they're like, well, no, you're the daughter of, I forget what he is, but he's of nobility. And so they're like, no, it's expected of you. It's looked down to even have a job as a woman at her age. And he's like, no, you know, I will entertain this for now, but it's time to get married. And that's just not what she wants. So she ends up meeting this young man here, and through a conversation and some things, they're like, well, why don't we pretend to be lovers and that we want to get married because he doesn't want to get married at all. And so they're going to use each other more or less to act like they're getting married so that their parents don't force them to marry a person of their choosing, which is definitely the situation that Fiona was in. You know where it's going to go. You know they're going to fall in love. And I love Giles. I don't think it's this guy's name. I think his best friend. Oh, no. His name is Giles. But I love his best friend because his best friend knows. I was like, you are setting him up. You know what could come from this. And I'm like, I'm here with you. I'm here with you and your antics, buddy. I'm excited to see what that best friend is going to do and getting them closer to one another because I think they just mesh so well. They have very similar ideas and thoughts, and it's really great. So I loved it. I loved it very much. I would highly recommend if you're looking for a historical fiction kind of series about a young woman who is very passionate about art, wants to be single and do her thing. Like, she doesn't want to have to be in a nice cage that her father wants her to be in. Not that he's mean to her. He's very loving and kind, but she really wants to just stand on her 2 feet. She doesn't want somebody to provide for her. She's like, I can provide for myself. And so I love that theme and love Fiona. It's a very great first volume. Eagerly looking forward to the second volume. I was so excited that this is finally in print, and that is You and I Are Polar Opposites, Volume 1. I read this digitally on Jump Plus. I think that's the name of the website, and you could read on there for free. And it was so good. Oh my goodness, it was so good. Rereading this first volume was everything. I'm so excited that we have this. This is such a fun series. The main couple reminds me of my husband so much, though I'm not a guyru by any means. Our main girl here is so very cool, but the way that she talks a lot, she's always self-doubting, not always, but she's second-guessing, excuse me, of like, am I talking too much? Does he find me boring? And he hardly says anything, but he loves hearing her talk, and he's like, thanks for sort of like keeping the conversation going and asking me questions. And they're an amazing, mature, young high school couple that I'm so here for. I love the whole cast of characters and just really how our main girl really grows, because she was very much a people pleaser, and then she's gonna just go for it. She's gonna go tell the guy how she feels. He likes her too, and it's so great. They're very different. They're very polar opposites, but they connect so well, and they both care for each other very much. And it's just, oh, it's so cute. If you're looking for very just wonderful and very clean Shonen Jump manga, this is one I would highly recommend. The humor is really good, and I really like how there is just some deeper themes as well. Like, there's this one guy, he's sort of like a Debbie Downer, to be honest, and he's very big about the social pyramid of high school. And I feel like he just had some really great takeaways of how he's so caught up in this hierarchy, because he's like, how can they be dating? They're not even on the same level in this hierarchy. He's like, I don't get it. And then he's realizing like he was so caught up in it that it was trapping him of the friends that he was making and not making. And so I really appreciate just these really nice character development like moments that are happening just in volume 1 alone. It's like you don't have to read 5 volumes like, oh, there's finally some character growth there that's happening. No, there's things happening in volume 1 that made this a very wonderful volume. I already have volume 2 on pre-order as well. Can't wait to see where the series goes, because I've read all of volume 1 digitally, and I think I've read like maybe the first 2-3 opening chapters of volume 2. So past that, everything will be fresh content for me, and it was amazing. Highly recommend. Oh, this was peak. This was really good, and that is volume 2 of In the Name of the Mermaid Princess. This series is so heartfelt and so beautiful and so moving and so emotional. I feel like I am just enraptured, I should say, by this manga series. It is so very wonderful. I buddy read this with my friend Holly. We both deeply loved it. Just when things felt maybe it was going to get a little bit easier, no, it was not going to get easier, but we meet the character that's actually on the cover of volume 3. That character is really cool. I'm hoping we see lots more of him, because he basically tells our main girl like things that she wasn't even aware of about herself. And so it's like now Mio has told herself that her dream of being able to be friends with humans, that humans and unhumans as they call them, or if they have like beast-like features, like, or if they have fur, or if they have like, blanking on the name right now, if they have wolf ears or something like that, they are lesser than. And her dream is, as a half mermaid, they can live in harmony. But that idea, her dream, gets challenged very early on in volume 2, and she really has to count the cost of her words. Is her dream something that she should still pursue, that her dream could be turned into reality? Is that something she should still go after? Or is her everything she's been told that humans and unhumans know that they cannot be together, they can't live in peace, are those words true? So she's really coming to this internal conflict that is touching every aspect of her life. I mean, bad things happen in this volume, and it's even making her conflict even bigger than what it already was when she was just sort of low-key struggling. I'm like, now she's super struggling. The end of volume 3, I'm pretty sure, ended on a pretty big cliffhanger. I didn't love all of Mio's actions, and because I felt like the ending was a cliffhanger, because I'm like, girl, I get that you're got some self-pity, that you're upset with what you did, but girl, I'm like, you need to go out there and save a certain person, like, just go, you know? But there was a great conversation with a person that she meets that talks about forgiveness, of where you can't just say sorry. Let me go find it, because it was actually one of my favorite takeaways from this manga. Here we go. Okay, this person is telling Mio, a true apology isn't about your feelings. It's about the feelings of those you've harmed. A true apology is about empathy for those you've harmed and making restitution. It's not about showing off how sad you are. I love that definition, or showing and saying what an apology is, what forgiveness is, what saying sorry is to another person. Very, very powerful, and Mio needed it. So I'm like, even if, girl, I didn't agree with one of the things you did, it was just one action. Like, even if I didn't agree with you, you needed to have that moment with that person, have that conversation, so you could move forward and grow as a person. Very touching, very beautiful, hoping positive things are on the horizon, and that she finds a certain person, and that her dream that she would see, it is beautiful, it is precious, and protect it, because your dream can be a reality. This volume sort of makes me laugh, because I have talked to like 2 or 3 people at this point about it, because I told myself when it arrived, I'm like, I'm not gonna read it. Yeah, I'm gonna go read this other thing. No, I sat down and read it. After I opened that package, I was already starting to read, and that is Mint Chocolate Volume 11. I was actually just talking to my friend Summerly this morning about this. This volume had the big fallout. What are the parents gonna do now that it's out that our main girl and what's his name, Suzumura, that they are dating? Like, what is gonna happen? I will just say right now, without going into spoilers, I am so thankful that this series is showing the parents are not dumb. They are not dumb. They know things, and they may have pretended to be dumb, but no, they have never been dumb for a single moment, like, oh, I'm so shocked. No, there is none of that mess, and I really, really, really like that, because it's nice having a manga with smart parents that are like, you're not letting that just go over us. Like, no, we are well aware of what's going down. Very, very, very good stuff. I loved it, but man, the ending ended on another cliffhanger, but this is like emotional, not despair, but it's emotionally bad. It's bad. I don't know what is going to happen, but I don't see a positive road outlook that could come from this, and I'm just like, there's heartache, there's gonna be pain, and I'm just like, why? Because everything seemed like it was gonna be smooth sailing. They've overcome the biggest hurdle of their relationship, and here we are with this out there ball that just came soaring in. I'm like, what are we gonna do? That came from left field, buddy. That came from left field. It's gonna be good though. I mean, it's gonna be good reading it. I just hope it's good for the characters. I hope it's good for the characters. So glad that I gave this manga a chance. Deeply loving it. It has been very, very good, each and every volume, and this volume was definitely no exception. Oh my goodness, this was my second favorite read of this month. If there's anything right now that I am loving that is for shoujo manga that can compete with my love for Glasses with a Chance of Delinquent, it is this manga, y'all. It is this manga, and that is volume 2, Gazing at the Star Next Door. This series is amazing. If you are not reading it, you need to be reading it. You need to be reading it as a shoujo manga fan reader. This series, I don't know what it is. I don't like angst. I've said that. I said that this video earlier. I'm loving the angst in this. I'm digging it. I'm loving it. I read this volume like 2 or 3 times this month. I was like, this is peak shoujo. I adore it so very much. I love it. It's really, really good. I mean, it has the best friends, or you could say it's childhood best friends to lovers kind of trope, but it's very slow burn. And I have seen things, because I actually got the magazine that has the couple from Glass with a Chance of Delinquent. I actually got that magazine, and and there was like a new chapter of this in it. So I saw things. I was like, yes, I'm here. I'm ready. I can't wait to be to this part. I'm on board. I'm on this hype, and I'm not leaving this hype train anytime soon. It is easily one of my favorite reads of this year. In fact, I don't know if I said it already, but when I was sharing on Instagram a while back, I said in my stories that my 3 favorite reads from 2024 will easily be Gazing at the Star Next Door, Glasses, and then Villains Are Destined to Die. I love these 3 series so much, and Gazing at the Star Next Door was no exception. It was so good. It was so good. I was just like, I love it. I don't know what to say without going into spoilers, but every single moment is building. Our main girl is struggling, and I'm like, our dude is blushing. I'm like, there's just things coming, the things that are happening. I love it, y'all. I love it. Please go read it. It is so very good. Cannot wait till volume 3 comes out. Now, typically, I feel like this has always been peak for me, and it still is, but I did not super love this volume. I feel bad. It did not measure up with Gazing at the Star Next Door and Glasses. And that is volume 8 of A Sign of Affection. Was this bad? Oh, no, it was not bad, but this was not as romantically heavy as previous volumes. But I feel like this volume was extremely critical, and I can just say I have not read another shoujo manga where a guy who's dating a girl has gone to the lengths that Itsuomi has gone to meet Yuki's parents and make Yuki's parents be happy, like that they will accept him, because finally, oh my goodness, the things came out in volume 7, Yuki shared her heart, and now these two are wanting to live together, and Yuki's like, I want you to meet my parents though, and hopefully we can get their approval, and Itsuomi's like, I'm gonna do anything and everything, and y'all, he literally does everything. I'm not gonna say what it is. Hopefully you personally have not seen spoilers. I got spoiled on very early because people were not marking them, and it's a big change, okay? It is a big change, but Itsuomi really, he lived up to his words. He told Yuki, don't worry, I got this covered. He's got this covered. He's got this covered. I really love the scenes with him and Yuki's dad, because Yuki's dad is the one that's supposed to be leading this outing that's happening, but Itsuomi really seems to be the one in charge, and it was very funny. But I'm excited for the next volume because I think we're going to come back to some heavier romance. But I feel like even though I personally gave this volume 4 stars, I feel like this is a 5-star read, just because, again, I have not seen a shoujo male lead go through the things that Itsuomi has gone through to show I'm serious about this girl, and I will do anything and everything it takes to make the parents realize that I am serious about her and I am never leaving her. It was very great, and I loved seeing that. I'm like, let us see more of that in manga, because it was very refreshing, and I was just deeply touched by his actions. I'm like, he is amazing. And I will say, another great takeaway, I have always not been very positive about Yuki's family, but things have come out, and I view her family a lot differently and a lot more with grace, especially when it comes to the brother. And I was just like, man, I don't fully agree with Yuki's mom and the things that she says, but as a parent of 3 kids, I do get it. I don't agree, but I do get it. And so I did appreciate how we saw things from the parents' point of view, or at least more into the decisions of why the parents have done what they have done. It was very helpful and very useful in that, and definitely changed my view of her family. Can't wait for the next volume as well for this one, and just I hope things are moving forward like they have continued to. It's been a good pace, and I'm very excited for things that are coming, because this volume ended on a good note, and I was very happy about that. This series continues to surprise me, and that is A Reincarnated Witch Spells Doom, Volume 4. I feel like the world building is so immersive for this manga that really, we have good world building Volume 1. We get more Volume 2. We get more Volume 3. And we get like, the world is huge in Volume 4. Like, you really get that feeling that our main girl, she is one small part of this much bigger universe in this series. And I am loving it. Like, honestly, if you need a fantasy shoujo manga that has dragons, which are super, super cool in this series, and you need some rich world building where you're like, okay, this isn't just like, yeah, this feels very medieval, like, okay, great. No, I mean, we are seeing different domains in the sense, like, we started off in the forest, we were up in the like volcanoes, and now we're about to go to a new place, completely different than everything else. It has been very rich when it comes to the art and seeing how different all of these places, these settings are. I am loving it so much. I mean, I love the story too. This guy here was like the ultimate bad guy at the end of Volume 3. I never expected to be like, he's really cool. By the end of Volume 4, I was like, Creator, you're amazing. Honestly, the last few pages that involved him at this volume were my favorite. I was like, dude, go out and kick their butts, man. His backstory, peak fiction. That was peak writing right there. Sorry, I keep using that word a lot today. I do apologize. But it was amazing. I was very, very impressed. I loved Volume 1. I loved Volume 2. I liked Volume 3. I love Volume 1. 1, liked volume 2, loved volume 3. I very much love volume 4. I feel like I just keep getting more and more into this series, and I'm very excited to see where it goes. I wish it wasn't so underrated because, again, dragons. And there's like a variety of different dragons. Like, you don't just have one set dragon. We've met like what? A wind dragon, a fire dragon, and then we meet another kind of dragon at the end of this one, and she's so different than all the other dragons. I mean, each dragon is very different, but she's very, very different. And yes, I said she, so let that just be like what is to come if you're keeping up with the series. Again, I would highly recommend it. Can't wait to see what happens next, and I hope that the world building continues to just grow and get bigger and bigger because I'm eating it up. I'm loving it. I want to know more about this world and this dragon collar to see what is going to happen next. Very, very good. Out of anything I read this month, and I never expected, this was probably my most triggering read, and that is volume 4 of What's Wrong with Secretary Kim. We finally are seeing the backstory. We're finally seeing things with Miss Kim of what happened all those years ago. And I will just say, you really need to brace yourself because it was very upsetting. I mean, I really had to like take a moment and I was like, oh my gosh, I'm like, this is a lot. This is a lot because overall this series has been very fluffy, but it has like that mystery woven in. That's really why I love it, is because it has the fluff, it has the romance. There was good romance this volume, if I might add. I was like, yes, we're finally getting some of that. But yeah, we're getting that. But we're finally, that mystery that's been woven in, and I feel like now we're seeing the full and entire picture. I don't know where this story is going to go next because we know everything as a reader. Miss Kim knows, or at least remembers everything as a character. It's going to affect things. It's going to change things. But I will say, the parents of our guy here, oh my gosh, none of their decisions are excusable for me. They were unacceptable. It makes me livid just thinking about, like, I get that it was hard and I can't imagine being in their shoes of things that were happening, but how dare you basically choose his brother over him? The pain that he went through, Young Jun went through, the trauma he went through, and it's basically like the parents are saying, you know what, it's really hard things with your brother right now. We just can't acknowledge your pain. You're just gonna have to deal with it. They didn't say that, but you just said that to your young child that went through all of these things. I was angry. I was livid. I was upset, and there's just nothing. Unlike Yuki's parents, where I feel like it made sense. I didn't agree, but I get it. I get it. His parents, I don't get it. I don't get it. I can't understand. I can't wrap my mind around it. You basically told the other brother that it's okay, and now you're about to deal with the fallout. And I'm like, I have no sympathy for you because you did this yourself for however many years. There were so many chances they could have came back and they could have said certain things that changed everything for Young Jun, for his brother, and for their entire family. I'm like, you basically set up your family to have this discord and this pain and this heartache where they just can't have open, honest communication without fighting taking place and people just not being honest. Sorry, I got on a rant right there, but it was very upsetting. So I feel like this whole volume was just really upsetting, to be honest. Very good. I really, really enjoyed it. I'm thankful we had the romance. I mean, I was very, very thankful for that romance because I have been waiting, anticipating. I mean, I read this series digitally after it got licensed, but now it's come back again. But I just seen that trauma unfold and what happened that day was very, very hard. So brace yourself, and I guess brace yourself for the dumb actions that his parents are going to make because you're probably going to be upset from the trauma, that backstory, and you're probably going to be upset because of the parents' dumb actions. So there we go. I'll leave it at that. This was my favorite manhwa read of this month, and that is The Perks of Being an S-Class Heroine. This was so much fun. This was a blast to read. I loved it, and it is just an absolute delight, a feast for the eyes with all of the pink that's in there. I love the characters. I love the story. I was really touched by, I'm trying to think, okay, I'm not familiar a lot with like the whole dungeon concept in manhwa, like say that's in Solo Leveling. I'm not very familiar with that. This is actually was my first time reading about dungeons in a manhwa. That was really cool, and I love this whole concept of the dungeons, and it's basically an isekai reincarnated story, though our main girl is called a transmigrator. Basically, she dies too early, but before she dies, she buys some insurance, an insurance package, and so she's in this place. The gods of this world are like, we love web novels, so you can choose the web novel you want to be in, and you sort of entertain. That sounds really weird. So she is like, well, I really want to be in a children's fantasy because, you know, they have everything great. I want good things. There's a much better explanation that she gave. Well, she doesn't quite get that. She ends up being in an infinite time loop where the character of this web novel dies over and over and over. Like, we're talking like 78 times kind of thing, okay? And she's like, oh my goodness. But because she bought this insurance plan, she is an S-class heroine, and she's got all these perks that she can do to help aid her so that hopefully she doesn't share the same fate. So she's using the knowledge that she knew from the web novel to help navigate in this world and get these new OP powers, because they're very OP, but they are so cool. I really love it. I love how she's just this cool kid who's she's not a kid, she was a teenager, but she's in a kid body now, and she's just using that knowledge, and she's just playing people like a fiddle, like not in a bad way. Somebody's like, I know what you're doing. I know what you're doing. She's like, oh, what are you talking about? You know? And the ending was so cool. The ending was so cool. But because she can, like, in this, she can interact with these supposed gods, and she'll have like these pop-ups where they communicate with her and talk to her. I'm trying to think of an example because I don't read enough of this kind of, okay, it'd be sort of like the system. But for example, it'd be like the voice that shapes the world nods as they listen to you because she's at a chapel and she's praying and she's talking to them. And so it has these pop-ups. I will just say, I love this scene. This is one of my favorite scenes. It really gives the voice that shapes the world that they're more than just this faraway being, that they genuinely are listening to her prayers. They're listening. They ask, like, how was your day? You know, what did you think about this and whatnot? Very interactive. And I just, even though the voice that shapes the world is super funny, okay? This was just a very heartfelt moment. And I just felt very inspiring and just very, very touching, because it's like the voice that shapes the world says that they will take an update into serious consideration. The voice that shapes the world tosses the new task to a newbie. The voice that shapes the world wishes to hear more about how you have been doing. Then it says the voice shapes the world beams with pride. It is very good. It is very fun series, and I'm not gonna lie, I love this so much. Y'all, I went and looked up spoilers. Because the light novel, I believe, the novel is complete. The manhwa is still ongoing. I wanted answers, and I said, okay, I am on board. I was already on board before, but I was like, I am super on board now. I cannot wait to see where this goes. It was very, very fun. A wonderful, wonderful series. So I think if you like isekai and you like is it video game aspect? I really don't know what that's called, but the gaming aspect, not really. But the pop-ups and such, and being able to level up, because there's one scene where she's cooking and she's like, I've got to keep cooking so I can level up. And she's like, I can feel my XP grow, and you see all the like +2, +2, +2 of the XP. And I was like, I love that. I love heroines or male leads that are obsessed with leveling up. Like, yes, I'm the same way as a gamer, so I find that very satisfying, very fulfilling, just very fun to see because I can relate to that. But if you want that, and then I guess you want the dungeon aspect, we didn't see much of that, but we did see at the end, and I was just like, this is not good. This is not good. So it ended on a cliffhanger, and I'm like, I will be getting volume 2. Very excited. It was a very fun first volume. Would highly recommend checking this out. I got this manga so early, and then I put it off for a month because I was like, the releases for this are very, very slow. I mean, we only get maybe like 2 a year, if that, or I guess maybe 2 a year, maybe 3 if we're lucky. So I was like, don't read it right away. And then I waited another month before I read it, and I finally did, and that is Tear Moon Empire Volume 4. I love this manga so much. Volume 3 was my final read of 2023, and I was like, Laura, why'd you put this off? It was so fun. I had a blast. I was cheering in my car at the school car line waiting for my kids to get out of school. I'm like, oh my goodness, laughing so much. I'm like, go Prince Abel. This is Prince Abel. I'm so hardcore cheering for him and Mia. They're so adorable. They're so adorable. I love them. Scion, boo. No, I was like, I'm so influenced from Mia because she calls him idiot Scion in her head. I'm like, yes, he is. I'm like, get him out of here. He can't even appreciate real food when he sees it because Mia makes a special kind of sandwich for Prince Abel because the tournament is finally happening. They're going to face off. That match was so good. The one that Abel has with his brother. Oh, I hate his brother. I was like, I'm so glad that you didn't get very far. I almost said spoilers. Like, yes. Like, good. Like, Prince Abel, take it all the way to the end. Take it all the way to the end, buddy. So it was so good. I think it ended on like a cliffhanger. Yeah, I just was like, of all the times, of all the places it ended here. And I was just like, why? But it was so good. I cannot wait for the next one. I already think the other day during the Books A Million sale that was going on, I was like, buy one, get one 50% off. It was part of it. So I was like, let me go ahead and purchase this. So I went ahead and pre-ordered volume 5. I love it so much. It is such a funny isekai. No, it's more time travel than anything. everything. But if you need a very humorous time travel story with very funny art, you need to get on this. You can even go check out, sorry, I was looking at this scene. He was so angry. He was so triggered. But this is a really great example of the art that is in this series. Like, there's Mia right there. From what I saw of the anime, I told myself I'm waiting for the manga to catch up to the anime. My husband watched the anime and he really, really loved it. But once it catches up, I was like, I will be watching it as well because I just can't get enough of this manga. The art is very, very funny. Like, for humor, it is up there with No Longer Heroine, and you know that the expressions in No Longer Heroine are some of the most outrageous that I've ever seen in manga. Tear Moon Empire is right up there when it comes to the art and really funny expressions on the characters' faces. I love it, and the storytelling is so rich. It's so good. I love the characters. I cannot wait to see what is going to happen next. This series past me just didn't know. She just didn't know, because when I read the first time and then I dropped it and I came back and I've been obsessed ever since. It is amazing. Highly recommend. Speaking of catching up, shout out to my friend Brie, who has encouraged me a few times, like, Laura, you need to read it. She's like, you still haven't read it yet? You need to read it. I was like, okay, I'm gonna read it. So this past month, I was like, I'm gonna read it, and that is volume 4, Miss Miyazen, Would Love to Get Closer to You. This was everything. It was so cute. It was so wholesome. I loved it so much. My heart just, it feels happy thinking about it. My heart was like exploding with excitement for love for these characters. It was the perfect ending. This series was just the right length. There was never a moment that was boring or too slow. It was perfection from start to finish. So if you need something that has sort of that repeating gag, but like not too long, you know, I dropped it early, but The Girl Who Wears Glasses, or The Girl with the Glasses, that series felt a little bit long for me. Miss Miyazen is the perfect length because yes, you get the gag. Okay, you get that. But this creator knows, like, okay, the gag's enough. It's time to start moving forward. Well, we'll put a little bit of that gag in there, but we have plot. We have story actually moving forward. The title is living up to what characters are doing and that they are indeed getting closer to one another. This volume was just everything. It was so sweet, so wholesome. I love it so very much. Thank you, Brie, for encouraging me to read this because yes, it was everything I was hoping for and more. And it sort of had like an open-ended kind of, had a good ending, but it also had a little bit of an open ending to it as well. And it was perfect. It was perfect. I got this very satisfying ending, and my brain can make up stuff and felt very satisfied in that as well. Everything was perfect. I will definitely be coming back to reread this series again. I was going to do a video review on it, but I was like, I don't want to reread volume 1 3. I'm like, I just want to know how it ends first. And so that's what I did. Very happy that I did. It is so good. Highly recommend this one as well. One manga that I didn't expect, you know, pandas always save the world and Mr. Villain's Day Off, but in volume 4, we actually meet a robot cat. I was like, this is new. And we got a little bit of lore in there of like, are there other planets, races that are also targeting Earth? I don't know. That was a question of like to be determined if that really is the case, because it really does seem like it's the case. So yeah, this was a very fun volume. Not as many pandas, but the little cute robot cat, he's so cute. He's so cute. I really, really loved him. And we see some of the not older characters, but we see the Rangers. They have a good moment to shine. We see Saint Nick again. We see the little girl and the little boy. Like, I really love the cameos of all these characters and that they have these brief moments to shine. Maybe it's just one chapter in the volume, but it is enough. It is enough to make my heart really happy. Like, there was a chapter with Pink Ranger. It was so cute. It was so cute. I really, really like that one a lot. I mean, we still have our pandas, don't get me wrong. And like another cameo was the girl that's at the convenience store who sells ice cream and gives recommendations to him. That was really great. That was really great. I love seeing her. So it was just good. It was just good all the way around. At the 5-star volume. Deeply loving this series. It's funny because I accidentally pre-ordered volume 5 when I was trying to order volume 4. And I was like, well, we're just going to keep going. I had already planned, but now I definitely have to read volume 4. Yes, I will keep going. It is a very wonderful series. Loving it so much. It's so great. Would highly recommend this one. For my last read of May of 2024, it was Coming Back to the Roots. And that is my love story with Yamada-kun at level 999. I loved it. I loved it. It was like surreal to hold this volume in my hands. It was so good. I was just like, wow, like it was actually a little bit weird coming back because I kept seeing and remembering the things that happened later on because I read majority of the series on Mangamo. I mean, I read up to like chapter 100 or something like that. So I read a large part of it. It was like, I remember how Yamada looked at the end. I was like, man, coming back to the beginning, I was like, Yamada had quite the glow up. He is quite the glow up. So it was sort of like, wow, I forgot how these characters characters look, and not that they were bad. It was just like coming back to the beginning, coming back to the roots. It was wonderful. I love this volume just as much as I did when I read it on Mangamo. It was everything. I very much agree with many people. I'm not a fan of this cover. I guess if it's not the Japanese cover, I guess every other cover that is like released in a new language has the same background, but this font, I'm not vibing with it. One thing I do want to say that I really hope that Inklore puts more care into the publication of volume 2, because there were moments where the English translation is just on top of the Japanese text. And I was just like, that's really weird. Like, I have not ever seen that. I mean, you know, at times, like, you can have, like, say, like a translation like this. You'll have the Japanese and then you'll have like the English translation. I'm cool with that. That honestly doesn't bother me. But there was one part, I don't even know where it's at now, but there was one, at least one, where it was just like it's showing the rain sound effects, but it'd be like putting this English word right on top of the Japanese. And I just was like, why didn't you just get rid of the Japanese text under it and just have the English text there? So I was a little bit disappointed by the translation, I guess, when it came to that, or the lettering or something along those lines. That was a little bit of a bummer, but the story itself was so good. It was perfect. I love seeing the characters. Volume 2, we're actually going to see the characters or other characters, like not just avatars. The gaming aspect continues to be everything. I forgot how much Yamada, like how standoffish he is. He's not a jerk, but I was like, Yamada, you were really blunt there, buddy, you know? And I can't wait to see you soften up as the series goes on. It was very, very good. Definitely going to be getting more volumes of this as well. I'm so happy to have it physically printed. And as you can see, there was much gushing in this video. So many different things that I loved in the month of May. I hope this month will also be awesome. As you guys know from last week's video of the shoujo manga, I announced the winner and the shoujo manga that I'm going to be reading this month that you guys voted for. Very, very excited. It's going to be a wonderful month. I know it is. But I hope that you enjoyed this video. Let me know what you read and what you loved. I would love to know. And if you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe. And thank you so much for watching. Bye!